Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
And today we're covering the unusual Studio Ghibli movie Earwig and the Witch. Yes, that's the title.
Yeah. Now, this is the third film that was directed by Goro Miyazaki, who you may remember from Up on Poppy Hill, and follows a young orphan who is adopted by a witch. Now, in exchange for working, Earwig wants to learn how to become a witch herself.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens in this film.
Nope. That's it. Before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification buttons on future podcasts and we'll pause videos.
Yes, and thank you so much for your support, for your subscribing and watching and listening. We appreciate you so much, and we love supporting in return. So if we aren't subscribed to your channel, tell us the name in the comments below. Better yet, leave a link. We'll check it out and give you a subscribe as well.
Yes. So, this one has become almost in a way infamous for the studio now. And it was I think the last newest Studio Ghibli film until Miyazaki announced he's going to do another one, came out of retirement to do one last film for like the third time.
And this would make him do it.
Right. And yes, they actually said this is the reason why he came out of retirement to do another film.
I wouldn't want this to be my legacy either.
No. And we gave it a fair chance. And the first sign that it was going to be...
Before we tell you what didn't work, let's tell you the few rare things that did.
Yes.
We learned that this was based on a book.
Yes, and the author actually did Howl's Moving Castle as well, so there's some elements from that movie input into here.
And we learned that the story ended abruptly in the book, and there was no ending. And unfortunately, Goro decided that he needed to do the same thing.
Yes.
So that is the reason, I guess, he decided to end it that way. So we'll give him a pass on that.
Mm-hmm.
They had a few people that you may know doing the voice cast.
Like
Daniel Stevens.
Yes. And surprisingly, there were only 3 stars in here because usually there comes a cavalcade of American voice actors, whether it be TV stars, movie stars, or voice actors. But in here, they seem to only have 3 because it was a very small cast. Mm-hmm. And Dan Stevens is one of them. He was probably the biggest name of the 3.
Definitely. And it had the name Studio Ghibli behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the name Miyazaki
Right.
behind it. And unfortunately, the last thing that did well for it, and then didn't do well for it, is once it got to the end of the movie and picked up and the story got interesting and got really good, it just
ends.
abruptly ended.
Yes, all of a sudden,
Just when we thought there was going to be some redemption for it, it ended.
Yeah, and a lot of people were really surprised. They were expecting, like, okay, this actually turned out to be just like a slow burn movie, and then end credits roll, that's the end.
And it doesn't even give you a segue to it being the ending. All of a sudden, it's just like someone accidentally edited the movie and chopped it, and it just goes to credits.
Yes.
And it's like, what happened? And we were like, what happened? That can't be the end. What happened?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, that is the end.
And here's the weird part. The movie, until those last 10 minutes, it drags, and it's only 80 minutes. It doesn't even make it to 90 minutes. It's not even at the length of a DVD film. It just kind of ends at that point, and then that's the end of it. But it feels like we've been watching for way longer, and then we get to other Ghibli films, and they're slightly over 2 hours, and then we're like, wait a minute, that can't be the end.
Now, what for me was disappointing is I loved From Up on Poppy Hill. It was different from other Miyazaki films. So it's really rooted in reality.
Right.
But it ended up being a good story and a sweet story with a good ending. And I really, really, really was hoping that Earwig would not be the way the critics and people were describing. I was hoping they were being too critical, judgmental. Maybe they just didn't understand his style. Mm-hmm. That's really what I hope for.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this movie does not work well.
Yeah.
The MC, or the main character, the protagonist, is not likable.
No, and she does not become likable towards the end, because usually for the Ghibli films, they start off one way and end another way, and there is some type of growth or improvement. They're like almost a whole different character, like with Spirited Away and Ponyo and so forth. But here, she starts off and she blatantly says to the audience that she likes to take advantage of people and getting what she wants and tricking people into getting what she wants done. And that doesn't change by the end. It's just like, oh, she gets to do that eventually. It's just been put off. You think that the lesson would be, okay, you don't have to manipulate people. There are people that genuinely care about you. She learns not to do this and opens up. And it looks like it was gonna go there until the movie cut off, but it doesn't, and it just stays. She stays the same the whole film, which is a little disappointing because you were expecting where's this big turnaround and character growth to make you like her, and it didn't come, unfortunately.
No, it didn't. Now, some of her backstory was actually interesting.
Yes.
Well, the people who adopt her, take her in, and they had an interesting backstory, and then you find out through watching, you figure out that one of the characters is actually her mom. That was interesting. Maybe they should have expanded upon that as well in the movie.
Yes.
And that would have made it more interesting.
Right.
But it was so quick. And I'm like, okay, here's an interesting part of the movie, but we don't get enough of it.
Right.
And the ironic part is that she falls in love with this band and she loves the music. And she plays it and sings it all the time, except for in the movie, the way that it is on the case, where she has a microphone and she looks like Fake Sayo and Comic Man, and you think she's gonna sing. But people in this movie, this girl freaking never sings. Earwig never sings one time, so the case starts off on a bad. It doesn't tell you the truth.
No.
And that's where the problem starts with this movie. The case itself, the cover lies.
Yes.
Earwig doesn't sing. She listens to other people sing on the radio.
Pretty much, yeah. And then the next thing would be the animation, which is what people were put off before the movie was even out. It was like, oh, it's going to be the first 3D movie. You're like, but why? We like the hand-drawn watercolor backgrounds and the beautifully detailed animation. And they're like, okay, well, we'll give it a chance because we've seen 3D do well. But then you get to the movie and there is no fantasy element in here. And yes, it's the same people.
It's supernatural.
Yeah.
Because of the witchcraft.
Right. And they claim it's the same writers for Spirited Away, and it's the same author of Howl's Moving Castle. You're expecting something grand. Except for some bits where they're at a cauldron, there is no fantastical music, no fantastical background. Everything is very mute and bland. They're in a little bitty town. The food doesn't look that good. And,
there's no Ghibli food in here.
No.
We're like, the food doesn't even look like, oh my gosh.
It just
Every
like,
Ghibli movie, except this one, has food. You just want to, oh, it looks so good. It makes food look even better than food.
Right.
But not in this one. That doesn't happen.
And then the expressions, while they're trying to meld 2D and 3D, like we've seen them do successfully, it doesn't come off well because their expressions stay very static. And when they try to get expressive, they look so freaky that you don't even want them to make the expressions. And we were really trying to give it a chance, but it was so off-put from what they want because Goro Miyazaki wanted to do it in 3D. And nobody on the team knew how to do 3D because they've been doing hand-drawn 2D for decades. So we got a whole new team to do it, and it looked like it was their first time too. So it looked like it was all beginner-type animation.
Now, all this being said, he makes another movie, be willing to give it a fair chance. There was a television show he made for kids. If you remember the name of it.
I think it was called Rania?
Yeah, and Rania, we ran ya.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see that either. So, right now, in his wheelhouse is Up on Poppy Hill.
That's it.
That was fantastic. And it wasn't just because it was more like Studio Ghibli. That helped. But there was a story. You cared about the characters. The backstory mattered. They gave you more information. It had a fitting conclusion.
Right.
You would even be open to a sequel for it. It was just done much better.
Right.
So my hope is that Goro will, start over from the drawing board, find something that interests him, that he's passionate about, a story, and then do what he does best,
right,
and not try to And there's nothing wrong with trying different things.
Yeah,
But if what you're trying different doesn't work, and you see in the studio that it doesn't work, you see before releasing it doesn't work, then it shouldn't be released.
Right.
That's the nicest way that I can put it. So hopefully he won't give up, he won't quit trying, and he'll get to the place where he finds that meld of what his dad does and what he does,
right,
and makes it work to something that is uniquely his.
Right.
And I hope that happens.
And we didn't want to put down, you know, really be harsh, and nobody really wants to do that because this is son of Miyazaki, and I'm sure that's a lot of pressure for him to live up to. We don't want to just go, okay, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's not as good as the dad's. I'm sure that's a lot of pressure for him. So a lot of fans are really hesitant to just rag on the movie. We just point out, you know, it really could have been something bigger and something for him, which he really wanted to be, because the lessons were a little strange that he wanted to teach, but it was like, hey, it's something different. And we hope that he improves, because we don't want to put him down, and I'm sure he's trying.
Definitely.
And that's gotta be, again, that's a lot of pressure to have to live up to the standards that we've had for decades with his father. So we understand, and we hope that the next movie will actually finally be a hit and have us wanting more from him, just as much we did for Hayao.
Absolutely. So if you've seen Earwig and the Witch, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with us, or did you like it? And if you did, tell us what about it made you love it. Have you read the book?
Yeah.
Let us know as well. And if you haven't seen it, you have to rent it.
Yes.
Because in America, they're not putting it on Netflix.
No.
If you're not in America, you can probably see it on Netflix.
And I think you can see it on HBO Max, too.
And come back and let us know what you think in the comments as well.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.